Hello students, in this video lecture we are going to discuss about the concept of copy constructor. From the previous video lecture we understood that the constructors are used for initializing the class objects, and we have also seen that there are different type of constructors called default constructor, parameterized constructor, non-parameterized constructor. And now we are going to discuss about one more type of constructor called copy constructor. But unlike the other constructors, this particular copy constructor is used in only in a particular condition, and that condition is that when we are creating an object by using another object. So we use an existing object to initialize a new object. Only in that particular context there is a potential problem, and that problem could affect the object, and to overcome that or to avoid that we go for the implementation of copy constructor. And through this video lecture you will learn what is the potential problem and how to overcome that problem by adding a copy constructor. And first of all, let us try to understand what is the meaning of one object used to initialize another object. That is explained in these two examples. In the first example, we declare an object in the name of obj2 and it is assigned with an object called obj1. This is called initializing an object. So whenever we declare something and also assign a value, that is what we refer as initialization. For example, int b equal to a. So in that statement, a is an integer variable that is already declared and it must have been assigned some value. So a contains some value, and now when you declare a new variable called b, we want b to be a copy of a. So whatever the content of a has to be present in b also. So in that statement int b equal to a, the compiler gets the value of a and simply makes a copy of that into b also. So this is also a similar statement, but here we are initializing an object with the help of another object. This is one example. And the next example for initialization is whenever we pass object as an argument. So we have got two objects involved in a function argument. One is the formal object, another is the actual object. So actual object is the one that is getting passed from the calling function, and formal object is the one that is getting received at the called function. So this is also a similar situation where we are using one object to initialize another object. Okay, now let us explore the problem. First of all, why a problem could happen in this scenario is because of the mechanism the compiler employs when it encounters the initialization statement like this. The mechanism is called bitwise copying. So whenever an object is assigned to another object at the time of initialization, a bitwise copy is triggered by the compiler, which is nothing but it makes a identical copy of the original object into the new object, and this is done with the help of a default copy constructor. So there is a compiler has got its own default copy constructor, and that is the one that performs the bitwise copy. We are going to now discuss about the two situations one by one. The first situation where we may have a problem because of the object initialization is when we pass objects as arguments to another function. And normally when objects are passed as arguments, we know very well that it is going to make use of call by value parameter passing. So we have seen there are two methods of argument passing, call by value and call by reference. And call by value is the default argument passing. So whenever you pass an argument, whenever you pass a variable or an object or a structure variable, it is just going to invoke the call by value, which means a copy of the original argument is made and it is passed into the called function, and as a result any change made in the called function will have no impact on the original object or original variable. This is the basis of call by value. And call by reference is just the opposite, where we explicitly pass the address of the original object or the actual object to the called function. As a result, any change made in the called function is also going to affect the original object. So call by value is safe from any modification. This is so far this is what we understood from all the examples, but now we are going to break that particular belief by saying that even if it is a call by value based argument passing, still there is going to be a possibility of a side effect, and that could destroy or damage the actual object. So even call by value may affect the original object. How? The point is mentioned in the next line. When this could happen is that in a particular situation where you have got a constructor and a destructor. Inside the constructor you are dynamically allocating memory, and inside the destructor you are releasing that dynamically allocated memory. So when you have this kind of a code in your program, then only you are going to experience this particular problem because of the object initialization. You will clearly understand it from the example that I am going to explain in the next slide. This is the example. It's a simple example, you can easily understand. So what is given here is that there is a class in the name of student, and inside which there is a integer pointer as a class member, and this pointer is just declared, not yet allocated any memory, and that is done inside the constructor. So in the constructor, P is assigned an array of memory of 25 size, and the data type is integer. So now what happens is that now P gets linked to 25 memory locations, and the starting address is going to be stored under P, and we know that the pointer of an array is going to hold the base address or the starting address. So that is what happens in this line. And later in the destructor we just delete that memory. What will happen because of the delete P is that the 25 memory locations that were allocated by the constructor, they get released, so that memory can be handed over back to the operating system, and the memory can be used for some other purpose. This is a simple it's a common program. Whenever we go for dynamic memory allocation, the memory gets allocated in the constructor, and the memory gets deallocated or released in the destructor. But this could go wrong if the program is like this. So here what happens is that I first create an object for that particular class. So for the previous class I am creating an object. Whenever you create an object, what will happen? It will make a call to the constructor. So the constructor gets called here. That is just a expected action, so that the memory will be allocated for P. So now the new operator gets executed, and the 25 memory locations are assigned to P. And next we pass the std object as an argument to the function, and because this is call by value, a new object is going to be created, okay, and that is created at the formal parameter. So this is actually a new object which is initialized with the help of std. This is actually equivalent to student obj equal to std. This statement, actually, though they look in two different lines, originally they are actually meaning equivalent to student obj equal to std, which means that we are using std to initialize obj, and this will trigger the constructor one more time. But this time what happens is that instead of getting a new memory allocation for P, it is just going to get linked to the same memory location. So once again the P belonging to the new object, remember std has got its own P and obj having its own P, because all the object class members are going to be separately available inside each object. So P will be separately available in both obj and std. But problem is that both the P will be pointing to the same set of memory locations. That is the problem. So the constructor gets called, and the P part of obj is linked to the same memory location of the std also. And after that the destructor called. So now when the destructor is called, why the destructor is called here is because the scope of obj gets over. Though the std is still existing, its life is not yet over. The life of obj is already over because we have reached the end of this particular function. This is typically a local object whose life and scope is only within this function, and since it is over, its destructor is immediately called. But when the destructor is called for obj, it actually releases the memory of p, which is nothing but the memory of std. So when p is deleted, it also deletes the memory that was part of std inadvertently. It's an accident, okay? It is not an intended release, but it was accidentally released. So obj has actually destroyed the memory that was allocated to std, and hereafter you cannot continue to run the program with the help of std. So any other statement after this function call that is referring to std, it will all go wrong because the p has been already deleted and you cannot use it anymore. And this is what we are referring as the side effect. Okay, here the side effect is that because the destructor gets called, the memory that was allocated to std or within std gets released by obj. And this is a second case. We have seen one case where when we pass object as an argument. Now we are going to look at the second case. The second case is that it is actually the same case, but it is in a single line. So here we are assigning one object into another object during initial declaration. So we declare b, and at the same time we assign a to b. Once again the same situation will happen. Here a bitwise copy will be initiated and b will become a bitwise copy or identical copy of a. And here also there is a problem only in a particular condition where the class my class contains a constructor which initializes memory, okay, like this. It initializes memory and the destructor releases that memory. So in the same situation we are going to experience the same problem. So whenever the class contains a constructor initializing dynamic memory and containing a destructor which is releasing or deleting that memory, we are going to have a problem. What is that problem? I'll just show the demo. So here we have the second situation. We create an object as std1, and after that, okay, what happens? As usual, the constructor gets called here, and in the next line we create the second object which is std2, and we assign std1 into that. Once again a constructor is called because std2 requires a separate constructor execution, so it is going to be called. But once again what happens is that the memory of the std2 is going to be the same memory of std1 also. So both the p inside std1 and std2 will be pointing to the same memory. And when the destructor is called first for std2, p gets deleted. So because whenever the function gets over, the object within that also needs to be destroyed, so the destructor will be immediately called. So the destructor gets called for std2 and the pointer p is deleted, which means all the memory allocated to p all removed. But unfortunately destructor will be called once again for std1, and now p is one more time will be deleted. So even though p has been already deleted, you are attempting to delete p once again, which is actually a invalid statement. It is like a person who has already died is getting killed again. That is meaningless, right? So in the same way, the object is already destroyed, but it is once again attempted to destroyed by the destructor call for std1. So we have seen two situations where the passing of or the initialization of object creates a problem. And remember carefully that this kind of situation will only arise when you have a dynamic memory allocation inside the constructor and the memory release inside the destructor. Otherwise, if it is a normal constructor which is having no kind of memory allocation, then this is not at all going to have any problem. Okay, now we have seen the problem. Now what is the solution? The solution is simple. We just have to write our own copy constructor. We have already seen that all this happens because of the default copy constructor which is executed by the constructor. Now what is the solution? We have to prevent the compiler from running the default copy constructor. Then how do we prevent it? By providing a explicit copy constructor. So whenever we write our own copy constructor, the compiler will prefer only that and it won't execute the default copy constructor. So that is a simple solution. And then what is the syntax of the copy constructor? Class name, and the argument for the copy constructor is const class name ampersand object. So I think you can understand the meaning of ampersand object. It is a reference object. So we are passing the object as reference, and we can write the necessary code inside the copy constructor. And this is the typical signature of copy constructor. Class name, const, again class name, ampersand object. If needed, we can also pass additional arguments to the copy constructor, not necessarily only this reference object. We can also pass other values, but a very important restriction is that this has to be the first argument in your copy constructor. You may pass other arguments, but this is supposed to be the first argument. And now we are going to see the solution. Okay, we have seen the problem because of this constructor, and now we have got the solution added. So we have got a copy constructor here which is also having the same name as the class name. And how this is considered as a copy constructor is because we are passing an object of the same class. So whenever you are passing object of the same class, it must be a copy constructor. The compiler can easily recognize that this is a copy constructor when it sees the object as the argument in the constructor. And this is supposed to be const. It's a typing mistake. So constant student ampersand o is the name of the object and it is reference type. So what is done inside this constructor is that P has been assigned a separate memory. So now whenever a new object is declared, it will execute the normal constructor and the memory will be allocated with the help of it. And whenever we assign one object into another, it will invoke the copy constructor and a separate memory will be allocated for P. So when destructor is called, it will only destroy this particular memory, not the original memory. So the original object is now going to be separated and safe from any modification by the argument object. And one more point to be carefully understood is that when copy constructor is going to be invoked, it is only when we try to initialize object into another object. Whenever objects are assigned to other objects, it can happen in two ways. We have already explored the two ways. One, when you declare one object and assign another object into that, and number two, when you pass object as a parameter. And there is one more a situation where this could happen when you return an object. So just like you can pass an object as argument, you can also return an object. Okay, in that case also this could happen, but the solution is same. Just add a copy constructor. Okay, this is what the point. So the copy constructor applies only to initializations, not for assignments. These are the valid examples where a copy constructor could be triggered. Number one, we declare one object and at the same time we assign another object. So my class x equal to y, it's a typical initialization statement. Secondly, we pass an object as argument. We have just discussed that this is actually going to lead to initialization of one object by another object. And the third is when you return an object. Okay, in this case the return type must be a class object because we are trying to assign that into another class object. So this must be a return type of object, and this is also a valid example where a copy constructor will be invoked. Whereas in this sequence there won't be any copy constructor called. That is, when you just declare a object by passing a normal integer, there is no copy constructor, and then what we do is that we have declared the second object and then we are assigning the first object into that. Okay, remember, only if it is written as array b equal to a, it is going to be called as initialization. Whereas here what happens is that the declaration is done separately and then we are trying to assign a into b, and this won't invoke the copy constructor. So it is very important for us to understand in which instances copy constructor will be executed. So these are the various points pertaining to copy constructor. So we have seen the potential problem of assigning one object into another, and it is going to be a problem only when there is a dynamic memory allocation and deallocation involved in the class, and we can simply overcome that by implementing a copy constructor. And the signature of copy constructor is that it has to be passed with the object of the same class as a reference. Thank you.